In this video, we're going to look at how a basic RGB LED operates. So we'll go ahead and from our last video, if you did build the fourth light, just go ahead and delete those components off the board for now, so that we start with 3 LEDs all hooked up to pins 13, 12, and 11, returning through the ground rails back to the board. We'll go over to our components section and find the RGB LED. You'll have to scroll down to find this one. It will look like a transparent bulb with 4 pins coming off of it. We'll drag that out onto our breadboard, and then we'll do a little bit of exploration to see what it does. So looking at the first pin, we see it's red. The second pin is the cathode. That's the same word used over here to represent the cathode, which we use to return the electricity to ground. We see the blue pin and the green pin. So R, blue for B, or RBG. It's a little bit backwards because we're used to saying RGB, but in this case, it's going to be the red, blue, green format. So if we go ahead and we click on our light bulbs, we can see that we can click the color drop down and change them. So let's go ahead and put them in the same order. So we had red, then we had blue, and then our last one was green. So we'll change those. And then we'll go ahead and click on pin 13. We'll bring it over to the row below the red. We'll click on pin 12. Remember, that's the blue. So we're going to bring it to the row below the blue one. So it's right there to there. And then, oops, didn't go in. There we go. And then we'll get the last one, the green, and bring it back to the green pin. We're going to need some resistors in here. So we'll scroll up and grab some resistors. Same idea, we're going to hook them up by bridging the gap. And in real life, you bend them into something that looks like a staple before you put them in. And then all that's left is return the cathode to the ground rail. So I'm going to move the RGB LED down a couple. Let's move it all the way down. Sorry, all the way down for a second. And I'm going to go from this hole up, and that'll provide me with the cathode connection to the rail, and then I'll move the RGB LED back up just so I can have it all together. So I hit start simulation. We'll see that the red turns on, the blue channel turns on, and the green channel turns on in relation to the original LEDs that we have turning on. So there's the red again, there's the blue, and there's the green. Now, the one thing that's important to note here is that we're sending out the signal on one pin, but we have it branching off into 2 cords. In real life, we couldn't get 2 jumper cords into that pin. We would have to bring them to the breadboard and then split them before going out. So if you wanted to try this in real life, you could do it, but you would have to do something like this. So I'm going to stop the simulation. And rather than coming out like this and merging them, we would have to rearrange our breadboard to do something like this, where the pin from pin 13 comes out, and let's put it on rail 8, and then we split that from 1 pin to 2, one which will go left to fire up this red LED, and one which will go way over here, and I'll color it red just to help with everything aligning. And if I run simulation, you'll see it does the same thing. So we would split this signal by bringing it to the breadboard and then splitting it in multiple directions. So the limitations of the breadboard here are you can bring 1 signal in and you can split it in 4 directions. If you need more additional space, at the end here, you would go from one side of the breadboard to the other, giving you an additional 4 spots. Okay, and you can just keep sort of moving that around. But at that point, you're probably going to want to look at a different way to utilize a breadboard or a different way to build your circuit. Okay, so that's the basics of an RGB LED. I will clean up this sketch for the next video, but as you can see, we turn on 1 leg at a time, and we get that color associated with that pin. So red, blue, and green.